Real firefighters in real firehouses, cooking real food. Anything can happen when you step out of the kitchen and into the fire. You're watching Feeding the Fire.
Welcome back to Feeding the Fire. Today my brother Tim and I are in San Pedro, California at the Port of Los Angeles. And man, is this place huge. Well, it is one of the biggest ports in the country. It consists of over 40 miles of waterfront and 8,000 acres for unloading the 11 million containers that pass through here each year. In fact, Jim, 43% of all the goods imported into this country come through this port alone. Wow, that's a lot to protect. You're not kidding. Each one of those containers out there is the size of a 40-foot trailer, and on average contains $260,000 worth of goods. That's why this port is protected by one of the most state-of-the-art marine fire units in the world. Just one unit? Well, every day the fire department is manned by 15 members of the Los Angeles Fire Department, and the guys around here keep talking about this legendary character, Warren L. Lawrence, that's supposedly some kind of super firefighter. Well, Tim, that's all very interesting, but I'm getting kind of hungry. I'm gonna go see what's cooking in the kitchen. And I'm gonna see if I can find this Warner L. Lawrence. This is John Lefebvre. He's gonna be cooking brunch for us today, including a new twist on an old favorite. If you like French toast, you'll love this one. John, what's it called?
This is called baked French toast. We cook here for 15 people, and it's hard to cook the French toast individually and have everybody sit down at the same time to eat.
Right.
So a little prep work ahead of time, and it makes everything flow smoothly.
This sounds like a dish that you'd make if you're having relatives over for a holiday. You can cook breakfast for them the next morning.
Yeah, this works great. This works great for a holiday meal, holiday brunch. I've even prepared it for on a camping trip. You put it together the night before, you let it sit in the reefer overnight, and you pop it in the oven in the morning, and you can continue with your sausage, bacon, eggs, whatever else you want to add to.
Sounds delicious. So what's in it?
Well, we'll start with our bread. This happens to be crusty Italian bread. This is nice and fresh, still really soft.
Fresh from the bakery.
In order for the French toast to really come up nice and airy and fluffy, you got to have it kind of dried out. So fresh from the bakery doesn't work. So what I did is I cut some up into 1-inch cubes, dried it out a little bit, just maybe like you would croutons. And you notice it's kind of crusty, kind of has the big spaces in it. Really hearty French bread. The first thing we'll do is we'll take the cream cheese, soften to room temperature.
It's important to soften up the cream cheese to room temperature because it's easier to work with. It whips up really nice. I can remember when my mom would make cheesecake, she'd let the cream cheese sit out to get to room temperature, but then sometimes my brother would come and eat it on crackers. She'd get so mad at him.
Well, today's modern marvels, we have the microwave. So if you don't have time to let it sit out all day, or if you got lots of little fingers around, you can always soften it in the microwave about 30 seconds, and that'll do. Okay, we'll put the mixer on low, and as it whips up, we'll start slowly incorporating the eggs.
I see you're adding them really slow.
Right, it's important to incorporate them slowly and make sure that you give them a chance to whip up a little bit. It really adds in the mixture being able to absorb into the bread. A little bit of finesse sometimes makes a big difference in the final presentation.
Right. John, what are you putting in next?
This is 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now that the eggs and the whipped cream or the cream cheese have incorporated, I'll mix that in. Next, I'll mix in 1 cup of maple syrup.
The USDA also assigns maple syrup certain grades. We're using grade A dark, which is primarily used for baking because of its rich maple flavor. Most maple syrups you buy in the store, did you notice, John, aren't real maple syrups. They're made with cane sugar.
That's correct. Most of the better maple syrups come from Vermont.
We're adding 1 1/3 cups of half and half and 3 cups of milk.
Is that 2% or skim milk?
This is the whole 9 yards, 4%.
Nice.
Whole milk. One of the old sayings around the firehouse is when you cut the calories, you cut the flavor.
Right.
So we don't worry too much about caloric intake.
Well, we have an exercise program on the job, and most of the guys take it seriously. And what we do is guys will know that there's a big meal being made, and of course with John, you know there's going to be a good meal, 2 good meals every day, lunch and dinner. And so if they want to watch their weight, what they're going to do is they're going to go out and exercise.
After our preparations is all mixed together, we'll pour it over the breadcrumbs. Then we'll take and kind of mix this around a little bit. The idea is to really incorporate all that flavor, the syrup and all that, just like you would have real French toast, only this will be sliced up in cubes almost like a bread pudding instead of slices of bread.
Great.
All right. That should do it. We'll cover this up, we'll refrigerate it, and in the morning we'll pop it in the oven at about 325, 350. And I think this should bake up in about an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Great. It looks like it's going to be delicious. Let me introduce you to the Warren L. Lawrence, Los Angeles Fireboat number 2, the most powerful fireboat in service today. This bad boy is 105 feet long and is powered by twin Detroit motors that put out 3,600 horsepower. Its 8-man crew can man its nozzles and shoot water up to 600 feet. It can pump 38,000 gallons of water per minute, and that's equivalent to a residential swimming pool every 15 seconds. As you can see, this is one awesome work platform for responding to any emergency in the harbor. Let's go see what a 21st century fireboat looks like. Typically, the pilot house is where you drive the boat. But this boat is so state-of-the-art that every aspect of the boat, from the pumps to the engine, can be operated from right here. Let me introduce you to Steve here. Hi, Steve.
Hi,
Tim.
Nice to see you.
I understand you're the pilot.
Pilot of a fireboat. I can drive it basically like a twin screw boat.
Wow.
Forward and back, and I can steer. And then I can also move the boat sideways, maneuvering the boat and overcoming nozzle reaction when we're flowing a lot of water.
So there's no propellers on this boat?
No propellers, no.
Okay.
Their blades are 8 feet straight down the water, 5 of them, and they're all constantly turning. And as I maneuver these controls around, it's changing the pitch of the blade for the boat to go a different direction. I can go sideways, backwards, quarter the boat in any direction. And it's very, very precise. You know, we've got a lot of horsepower, 200 tons, and we can do a lot of damage, but I can come right up against the wharf for a boat and not break an egg. That's precise.
Well, I heard this thing can stop on a dime.
You can.
This boat is so advanced, every aspect of the firefighting apparatus can be controlled from the pilot house. This panel opens and closes valves. There are joysticks to control the direction and flow of water. Nobody on this boat even has to get wet. Even the engine room can be controlled and monitored from right here. Here we are with the baked French toast that John prepared last night.
We let this soak overnight. We brought it out, let it come to room temperature for about a half hour, 45 minutes. Then we'll throw it in the oven for 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how long this is going to take, because this is a double recipe.
So what else are we having, John?
Well, we're going to have some Greek-style eggs, scrambled, and we're also going to have some bacon and sausage. If you don't mind, you can give me a hand.
Sure,
I'll put you to work.
Okay.
We got a well-seasoned grill. If you wouldn't mind starting the bacon, and once the bacon's done, then we'll go ahead with the sausage. Now that Jimmy's got that under control, I can get the eggs started. I got 3 dozen eggs, and I'll have to kind of crack them here.
Hey John, I got this bacon going pretty good. You need a hand over there?
Sure, that'd make it go a lot faster. 36 eggs.
Gotta remember to keep an eye on that bacon. What kind of eggs are these? California
These are local grown California eggs. I get them from a local meat market in Delhi. He does a lot of the exotic meat like rabbit.
Hassenfetzer.
There you go, rabbit, goat. This community, San Pedro, is a big Yugoslavian Italian community. So We have a lot of real ethnic meat markets. They sell sausages and different types of prepared meats.
Exploring ethnic markets in and around your neighborhood is not only fun for you, but it treats your palate to new and interesting flavors.
Well, we've got that done. We can move on to the tomatoes and the feta cheese that also go in this dish.
Feta cheese sounds great. I love feta cheese. It's got that salty flavor with a little bite to it. I can sprinkle that on salads or just chop up tomatoes and pour some olive oil on it, eat it all day long. You know, traditionally, feta cheese was made by shepherds from goats or sheep's milk, but now the commercial varieties are made by pasteurized cow's milk. But for all you people who are lactose intolerant, you can still find feta cheese made by goat's milk in your local supermarket.
Okay, we've got our feta cheese all cut up. We have our basil.
How'd you get them in them little squares like that?
Well, you know, what I found is basil is, I really like using basil, but it's very hard to keep fresh. So what I found is this is frozen, and it comes in little cubes, and so you're able to use what you need when you need it, and it, smell that. I mean, that smells like the real thing.
Smells like the royal herb.
There you go.
The French would consider that the royal herb.
Oh, that's right.
And the Italians consider it a sign of love. Did you know in
I
India?
didn't know that.
No, in India they think it's a sacred herb which purifies the air by releasing negative ions.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to have to use that around the station a little bit. We need some air purification.
I'm just a cornucopia of information.
A wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
You know, now that we've got all the chopping and stuff done, we can finish up the cooking. We'll move to the stove.
Okay. Just before putting the eggs in the frying pan, we added a little milk to keep them light and fluffy.
One of my big things about doing the scrambled eggs is my mom used to make them. They always used to come out tough and chewy and rubbery, and I never liked them. But then I never liked the runny yolks either, so as a kid I didn't eat a lot of eggs.
Well, you obviously overcame that, John. What did you do?
For this amount of eggs, I use 8 ounces of cream cheese. The secret is not to disturb them too much. You want to let them get hard and then kind of fold them in from the outside. And that way, instead of having all little pieces, you have big sheets of egg. And you keep folding it in, and it kind of locks the moisture in a little bit. You notice I'm using a soft silicone spatula to keep from scraping the stuff off the bottom. Doesn't matter what kind of pan you use, you still have some of the eggs get stuck on the bottom. So you kind of leave the egg mixture on the bottom of the pan, and this way you just scrape off the cooked stuff off the top so you don't get that burnt stuff on the bottom or overcooked.
Yeah, I don't like when my eggs are overcooked.
We have a Marine task force here. We not only have the boat with the people on it, but we also have an engine company and a rescue that run out of here, in addition to a EMS supervisor for the battalion. But we do a lot of things different than the land companies do because of the nature of the marine environment here and the types of calls that we get.
You know, our pan of eggs has gotten a little full, so maybe what I'll do is I'll do the tomatoes in another pan just to saute them a little bit, and then I'll add them when this is done. A little salt.
All right.
Yeah, it's important to salt and season your foods when you saute it. It releases the moisture and helps add a little seasoning to the vegetables, especially vegetables. Helps dry them up a little bit.
The basil.
And a little bit of cream cheese. And some of the feta. Yeah, all of the feta.
I can't wait to eat.
The basil and the cream cheese kind of, it's defrosted, mixes in really well,
Yeah, that
You wanna-
frozen basil works pretty good.
You want to put it in kind of towards the end because if you cook it too much, you lose the flavor.
How long have you been on the Los Angeles Fire Department?
About 35 years on the department. I've been on the boats, the old one, the new one, about 12 years.
So acting as like an engine company on water, if you had a fire on the dock or something, could you supply some of the other engines with water from the harbor itself?
That would be basically what we would do because there's not a lot of hydrants along the harbor itself.
Oh,
right
okay.
at the wharf. So we could supply as much as they needed. Probably.
So you would just kind of hook up to the pumps
We'd
here?
hook to these or the ones forward. We have our 4-inch line that we use. We can hook to them, or they can give us a line that we can hook to. We also have our pump out equipment, which is the black hose there. It's a stinger that we can go within 200 feet if where a boat is sinking and pump it out. And it's a lot better than the old system we had.
If these can shoot 600 feet, you could probably put water on top of that bridge, huh?
We can put water over that bridge.
Over that
We're the
bridge.
forward monitor. These don't go that far.
Oh, okay.
Just the forward monitor goes 600.
Okay. And about how many guys man the boat at a time?
8. We have 8 guys. We have 3 deckhands,
Okay.
which are the firemen that are on the deck. We have a mate who is basically our safety officer on deck. We have 2 engineers who operate the engines and pumps, a pilot who drives the boat, and a captain who's in charge.
Wow.
So we have an 8-man crew.
It's very impressive.
We're proud of it.
Okay, now that the tomatoes have done sauteing, I'll put them in with the eggs and mix them up a little bit. Okay, next, let me make sure that we have our, oh, there we go, a little nice and brown on top.
Yeah, that looks delicious. Can't wait to try it.
Okay, now to put the finishing touches on the baked French toast, a little powdered sugar adds in the presentation, and there we go. Okay, it's almost 12 o'clock. Come and get it. Time to dine. Let's eat.
Well, John, this looks great.
Well, bon appetit. I hope you like it.
Oh, I
Pass the syrup, would you?
certain. I'm gonna try it without it. Wow, John, this is great. I'll try these eggs. Wow, these eggs are great, John. You can really taste that basil. I'm surprised it tastes so fresh. And the feta cheese
You
is excellent.
don't need a lot.
These are excellent eggs. Feeding 15 hungry heroes can make quite a mess of the kitchen, and the men and women of this firehouse have a unique way of seeing who is assigned cleanup. The game is called Sink or Swim. The wager is who does the dishes. Steve teaches my brother how to play. 4 queens 9.
I think Tim loses.
Or does he? So I gotta do dishes?
You gotta go in the water.
You can take the sink or swim.
I think I'd rather swim.
Okay, dive
15 guys, I'd rather swim.
Sink or swim. Jump, jump, jump. There he goes. But guys, he don't know how to swim. I'll get him.
I hope he dries out by our next episode. We'll see you next week on Feeding the Fire.